Hey there everyone, in today's video we are going to be replacing the batteries in this fire alarm system. This is a Notifier NFS 320C and this is the fire alarm system that is in my house. For anyone new to the channel, this is the addressable fire alarm system I installed in my house to offer way better protection than the residential devices were, as it gives me way more options for customization, better protection. I have smoke detectors installed in every room, pull stations, heat detectors, and commercial audiovisual devices. It's even tied into the separate fire alarm system in the separate garage building. And I'm able to use these low frequency sounders, which are way more effective at waking sleeping humans. Long story short, it offers way better protection, as well as giving me videos I can make to show others how it works and feature it on my channel. I installed this system in summer of 2023 and it is now, as of this video being recorded, it is March 28th, 2024. Which, if those batteries were brand new when they were installed, that would absolutely not be a problem. Usually fire alarm batteries are good for between 3 to 5 years for your sealed lead acid batteries, and the cycles that they get on these systems, that's typically what they'll last for. However, these ones aren't brand new. I actually did install these batteries brand new, but not in this system. With the date that's on these, you would think they were installed in 2022. But I swear I installed them in like 2021 or 2020 maybe even. Long story short, I installed them in a 640 in one of our schools years ago, replacing some older batteries, and there was a power outage one night, and I remember looking back in the history of the panel because we were suspicious of that the system was lost, and I went back into the history, and sure enough, power went out at like 11 p.m. or 10 p.m. and by 4 a.m. the system had dropped out completely. Therefore, even though these batteries at that time, I think that was in that might have been 2022, even though at that point the batteries weren't that old, they weren't holding that system long enough at all. Your fire alarm batteries need to keep the system going for 24 hours in standby plus 30 minutes in alarm. I believe some very small buildings, depending on their occupancy and very specific rules that apply to them, they can get away with 5 minutes in alarm. But then for high rises, big huge high rise buildings, they need 2 hours in alarm because they figure that possibly not everybody will be evacuating at once. It may be a staggered evacuation or a hold in place type thing where you still need your speakers most likely to be operable for 2 hours. But for a normal system, it's 30 minutes. So these batteries aren't giving any problems. See, they're still putting out 27.5 volts. But I've got some newer ones that I want to put in here because I think these ones are probably around 4 years old now. Possibly, I'm not exactly sure. At least 3 or 4 years old. So I got some new ones to put in. I also want to try and do a load calculation. I've never actually done one before, but it should be fairly simple. So let's go and get the new batteries. The new batteries aren't brand new. They're 1 year old, if even that. I put them in towards the end of 2023. I think like December 2023. So only a few months old actually. We put them in a system that was due for battery upgrades, and then we went ahead and replaced the whole system. And you're not supposed to reuse the old batteries. It's supposed to be everything brand new. So that's why I took these ones home, because they're still great batteries. We just couldn't install them in the new one. That would be these guys right here. Yeah, 1223. So these are really new batteries, same size. I'm also going to take a meter in to do a calculation of our load. I'm pretty sure 18s would hold our system for 24 hours plus 30 in alarm, but we'll check that. Now, I'm not an expert here. I believe it used to be you actually had to ring the bells for 30 minutes, but now again, don't quote me on any of this because I'm just going off of what I think I've heard others say, that the new 2019 British Columbia here has just taken effect with the new 2019 CAN/ULC fire alarm installation testing, all that sort of stuff. And I know 2019, it's now 2024, so we're 5 years behind, but that's normal with code cycles for them to just take into effect a while after. And now you're allowed to actually do it by just metering, I believe. So we're going to start by changing out these old batteries, and then we will do our load calculation on the new ones. This will give us a trouble. Take our positive lead off first. And now you don't want these to touch each other or go to ground. We can take these old guys out. These new ones in. These ones are a little different. They don't have the screw terminal on top, but instead this whole cluster of washers and stuff. And then a washer, then a lock ring, and then a nut, I think. I lost the other one, so I had to open up this bag of them here. I think we'll go washer on the bolt over this guy and put the lock ring on the other side with the nut. Now don't quote me, I'm doing this the right order. We can check our battery levels here. Voltage 26.9. It is slightly charging them. I think it'll charge at max 2 amps. However, we gotta take this back apart because we gotta get some readings. Let's take this guy off. Let's take this guy off here. Obviously, if you have a clamp-on meter, that's great. However, those are expensive for clamp-on meters that will read DC. So we need amperage DC here. And I'll show you what we're going to do. Now I'm going to use these clips here to make sure we have a solid connection, because if we don't and we lose connection for whatever, we will in fact lose our entire fire alarm system, because we're going to be running on battery backup. Take our positive, clip it to here. May look sketchy, but this is gonna be just fine. And then we'll take the other side of the probe here, our other probe. It's just gonna pass right through the meter. That's all we're doing here. Balance that guy there. And we're not dealing with opposite sides of the battery, it's still in row. So if that was to short, it's not gonna go crazy. And then connect it to here. But in fact, we actually need to not be on voltage, we need to be on amperage here. There you see we're charging, it's going backwards through it, so we're negative 0.2, but we're also charged, so you can see that both meters are pretty accurate there. 0.16 amp, 0.16 amp. It's showing negative because we're going through the meter that way, we're charging that way. That will change once we are actually running on load. So let's do that. Let's get a standby current reading. I'm putting this guy out because we need to make some noise, and Jackson does not like fire alarms. Ayla, on the other hand, is perfectly happy to watch baseball. She won't care. So we need to go to our main panel and open the fire alarm breaker, which does have a lock on it, so we need to use this Allen key to take it off. That would be this guy right here. And we'll shut that down. Okay, so we are 0.32 is the highest we're seeing. That's before we acknowledge it or do anything. .32. We'll write that down. So we just took the highest number that we saw. We can acknowledge that. There you go. Something interesting with Notifier that a lot of people don't seem to know, and I've even told people that I don't believe me, but modules do not visually pull during an AC loss to save power with the consumption of that little LED light. They will still actually go off if you pull it, it'll still activate, just it doesn't visually indicate it. Detectors are different. If we look at a detector, we will see it does still pull. However, if we look at something like a pull station here, it does not visually do that anymore, but if I was to pull it, it would. Which is something we're going to need to do because we need to get our alarm current. So we will set off an alarm, and without acknowledging it or anything, we will take our current reading. Let's actually go back to that pull station though, so I can show you what I mean with the polling. .8. Highest I saw was 1.8. Write that down. Okay, with that done, we can put this all back together. I did not reset the pull station. Good thing. We're fast, boys. We're fast. We're fast. And now, yes, this guy would add a little bit more current draw. However, I think we're going to find that our batteries are already plenty oversized, and that would be a very rare occurrence, and that does not directly affect the life safety of this building if it can't ring that for 30 minutes. Let's restore AC power and put our batteries back together permanently. I've got our lock on back on there, and we are back to normal and charging at 1.6 amps. You can hear the charger squealing away. And always put your meter probes back to voltage before you really surprise yourself when you forget. Go to measure voltage and you blow it up right in your face. Just something I do. And we can put our battery back together. All right, that's solid. And it never hurts to have spare parts for the battery connections in there. Okay, let's start with the standby because that will be the larger number. So we will take 0.32 and we'll multiply that by 24 because it needs to go for 24 hours. Multiply 24 equals 7.68. So basically, if we were only doing standby, if they made a battery that was 7.68 amp hours, that would be enough. Realistically, there's a 7.2, a 7, that's not big enough. That wouldn't hold it in standby for 24 hours. However, a 9 amp hour would. But keep in mind, that's not all we've got. So let's remember that there. And do our alarm. So our alarm is 1.8 amps. However, that only needs to go for 30 minutes. So instead of timesing that by a whole number, because the reason we're timesing it by a whole number is that's what the battery is sold in. If our answer ends up being 8 an 8 amp hour battery would do it. This is all being done in amp hours. I'm sure somebody else could explain this way better than I can. But because we're doing this in amp hours, and this doesn't need to last a whole hour. Basically, a battery, say an 18 amp hour battery, could sustain 18 amps for 1 hour. So we don't need a whole hour, though. We only need 30 minutes. That's why we'll times that times by 0.5, because it's only half an hour, 30 minutes, equals 0.9. So 0.9 plus, won't let me copy and paste what I had before. We know it's 0.9, we might as well round up to 1. So once again, we can do our 0. That won't let me type on the actual keyboard. 0.32 times 24 equals, okay, that was what it equals, plus 0.9 equals 8.58. So in total, this fire alarm system in this house only needs an 8.58 amp hour battery. Keep in mind we have an 18. So that's what I was saying. I was like, I'm not worried about that strobe. It's gonna have plenty to go. I knew it would. The thing is with these Notifier 320s, they have a minimum battery spec for the charger, and the minimum spec is 18 amp hours. But just for fun, let's see how far we can push it. I wonder, can we do the opposite and divide it by 18 to see how long it would last? Divide by 18. I don't know if this would work. Maybe we have to do it the other way around. 18 amp hour battery, and then we'll divide that by our 0.32. Okay, I think that's what we were looking for. I think that means in standby without any alarm, this battery in there would keep my fire alarm system going for 56 hours. Which basically that is 2 days and 8 hours. Which is plenty. That would keep our fire alarm system going for 56 hours. That's lots. Let's do the opposite though and see how long it could ring the bells for. Obviously, you'll be able to, there's almost infinite possibilities if like standby versus alarm time. But take our 18 amp hour batteries, divide by 1.8 amps alarm. Okay, it could ring the bells for 10 hours. However, now that I'm remembering this, I think we might have actually had, I don't know if it was 1.8, I think it was actually 1.08. I'm sorry, I'm goofing this up here. But, I mean, either way, we know it's plenty, but 1.08, I think, is what we actually had, times 0.5 equals, okay, so 0.54, remember that, 0.54, 0.32 times 24 equals 7, yeah, that's our same number, plus 0.54. Okay, so slightly reduced number. As I said, the alarm current usually doesn't affect it nearly as much because it's such a short period of time, and it really didn't. Okay, that is our final answer. An 8.22 amp hour battery would sustain this fire alarm system for the minimum legal requirement of 24 hours standby plus 30 minutes in alarm. I think that's pretty good. And if we really wanted to actually push the batteries to the max, they would keep the fire alarm system going for 56 hours or 10 hours in alarm. Now, I don't know how much useful voltage would be there. Like, I'm not sure how much the voltage would drop off at a certain point. I'm assuming they rate the batteries at sustaining that. There's got to be a set voltage parameter, I'm assuming, which I bet somebody in the comments could say, like, once it's below 11 volts, it's no longer its useful operational voltage or something like that, I would assume. Anyways, I think we've figured this out pretty well, that these batteries are plenty big for this fire alarm system, that they should keep it going for over 2 days, almost 2.5 days that they would sustain it for. So yeah, guys, let me know what you think of this video if you found it entertaining, and let me know if you'd like to see the same thing done for the garage system. That garage system would be interesting. Realistically, that wouldn't happen because it's on a generator, but like, say, like worst case scenario, the generators ran out of gas after multiple days of use, and then it switched over to battery. How long would it go for? Let me know what you guys think and if you'd like that. But if you did enjoy this fun, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you do have any comments or questions, feel free to leave those down in the comment section down below. And if you do enjoy my channel, make sure to subscribe. Also, if you are interested, I do have an Instagram account at Pickle700 for bonus content posted earlier than you'd see it on the YouTube channel, that sort of thing. Alrighty, guys, thanks for watching.